Put that rod down right now." That's what the HOA president screamed at me across the dock like I was waving around a shotgun instead of teaching my kid how to fish. I swear you'd think a fishing rod was a weapon of mass destruction the way she carried on. One minute I'm showing my son Noah how to bait a hook, the next minute I've got a $600 citation shoved in my face and half the neighborhood live streaming our humiliation like it's the Super Bowl of petty power trips. And when she dialed 911 yelling about dangerous activity at the lake, I realized this wasn't about fishing anymore. It was about somebody needing to remind the world she was in charge. You ever had someone so drunk on authority that you start to wonder if they're actually enjoying the misery they cause? Yeah, that happened. It started out as a perfect Saturday. Noah had been pestering me all week. "Dad, when are you going to teach me to fish the right way?" So I promised him sunrise at the community lake. He had that little tackle box of his organized by color and size. So proud you'd think he invented fishing. The water was smooth sun just peeking up, and for about 15 minutes I actually believed in peace and quiet. Then Noah whispers, "Dad, who are those people?" I turn around and there it is, a white golf cart barreling down the path like the cops in a car chase. 3 people hop out. 2 look nervous. 1 looks like she's about to announce a state of emergency. That would be Gloria Hale, president of the Meadowbrook Homeowners Association, age 55, hairsprayed to perfection, blazer so stiff you'd think she'd ironed it while wearing it. Gloria storms up with 2 neighbors in tow, one of whom immediately whips out his phone, narrating the whole thing for the HOA's private Facebook group. Catching a rule breaker in action like this was their moment to shine. "Excuse me," she barks. "Are you Justin Bennett?" I nod, confused. And that's when the citations start flying. "You're in direct violation of community regulations," she says, as if I'd been caught robbing the bank, not standing by the water with my kid. She points at Noah and me like we're on America's Most Wanted. "Do you know what time it is?" "Mr. Bennett, I checked 7:30 a.m. "Exactly," she says, flashing this grin that could sour milk. "You're fishing during quiet hours." I pull out my state fishing license, try to show her this is all legit, but she waves it away like I handed her a parking ticket in a hurricane. "This is about community standards, not state permits," she snaps, digging into her blazer and whipping out a fancy citation printed on paper thicker than my mortgage statement. "You are hereby fined $150 for violation of quiet hour regulations, plus $450 in legal processing fees." My jaw drops. $600 because I taught my son to cast 30 minutes early. Gloria just smirks and nods to her cronies like she's already planning what she'll spend the money on. Noah tugs at my sleeve and whispers, "Dad, are we in trouble?" I could hear the worry in his voice, and suddenly all the anger in me started boiling over. This was supposed to be our memory, not a mugshot. And then, like she's auditioning for a reality show, Gloria pulls out her phone and starts dialing 911. "Since you refuse to comply, I'm calling the authorities," she says loud enough for the neighbor's live stream to pick up every word. I'm standing there feeling my blood pressure spike, wondering if I'm actually about to be arrested for fishing with my kid. Next thing I know, Noah's little hands are shaking. He drops his rod and it clatters on the dock, sounding, of course, like a gunshot in that perfect silence. I put my arm around him, trying to stay calm, but honestly, I was half expecting the SWAT team to show up. Well, I didn't get the SWAT team, but I did get 2 patrol cars' sirens blazing down the main road. Out come 2 officers. One looks like he's seen every bad neighbor story in the book. The other's young, all nerves and eager for his first big bust. Gloria sprints to them, citation in hand, starts in on her performance. "Officers, thank goodness this man is trespassing, violating quiet hour, refusing HOA authority." You know the type, never satisfied until someone else is miserable. The officers approach, looking from me to Noah to the fishing rod to Gloria. The young cop's hand actually hovers near his handcuffs, and Noah just breaks, crying, pleading, "Please don't arrest my dad." Tackle box on the dock, lures everywhere, the whole thing. A circus. Finally, the older officer steps up. "Let me get this straight. You were fishing with your son." Before 8 a.m. I nod. He checks my license, looks at Gloria's citation back at me, then at Gloria like he's just realized he's been called out for nothing. Gloria starts quoting HOA bylaws like she's defending the Constitution, shoving laminated pages at the cops. The young officer is still eyeing those handcuffs, but the older one, God bless him, just sighs. Ma'am, he says this neighborhood calls us more often than people order pizza. Most of these calls, nothing serious. His partner mutters something about false reports, and I start to feel hope for the first time that morning. But Gloria isn't letting go. If you let this stand, the whole structure collapses. We can't pick and choose which rules to follow. She insists, getting shriller by the second. Meanwhile, the neighbor with the phone is still live streaming, narrating for his audience about community enforcement. Comments start popping up on his screen, half the neighborhood debating if a $600 fine for fishing is justified or just nuts. Finally, after more back and forth, the younger officer, clearly trying to salvage some dignity, hands back my paperwork. Sir, your permits are valid. The timing, well, that's an HOA issue, not a police matter. Gloria looks like someone just told her her dog ran away. Noah sniffles, wipes his nose, and asks, "Are we really okay, Dad?" I tell him yes, but inside I'm burning. Gloria, of course, can't accept defeat. She rips into the officers as they leave, complaining they're not doing their jobs. The neighbor finally stops recording, disappointed. I guess he didn't get to witness an arrest. As we walk home, Noah keeps asking why Gloria was so mad at us for fishing. I try to explain about rules and neighbors, but honestly, it made less sense the more I said it out loud. That night, my brain wouldn't let it go. The whole thing felt like more than just power tripping over a fish. I'm a journalist by trade. Digging into public records is second nature. So I started poking around the HOA's finances, thinking maybe Gloria was hiding something behind all her bluster. Turns out she was. There was a stack of overdue invoices from Clearwater Lake Management, 6 months of missed payments, $15,000 in the hole. The HOA had been ignoring warnings, hiding letters from residents, still collecting our fees, but not paying for lake upkeep. It gets better. The management contract said plain as day if payments fall 90 days behind, Clearwater can revoke the whole lake agreement. Gloria never mentioned that, not once in the monthly meetings. I printed everything, laid it out across my desk, and realized she wasn't just petty, she was crooked. Rachel, my wife, saw the pile. "What are you going to do?" she asked. I wasn't sure. But then I remembered my grandma's inheritance just sitting there in savings, and her handwritten note, "Use this to protect what matters." What if I could flip the script? Pay off the debt, get control of the lake contract, and shield my family from this insanity. I called a lawyer friend, Mike, who explained the risks, but said it was legal. So I pulled the trigger, paid off the $15,000, and negotiated a 99-year exclusive lake management contract in my name. Suddenly, I had more power than Gloria ever dreamed of. Of course, Gloria went ballistic. She started posting fake federal prohibition notices around the lake, forging signatures demanding emergency maintenance fees from families with kids, never her cronies, always the young families. Rachel started comparing notes with other parents. The picture was ugly, targeted. Harassment, special assessments, outright fraud. Mrs. Chin, who'd never been fined for her morning walks, learned her neighbor had been billed $300 for quiet hour violations just for fishing. That was my twist. Turns out I wasn't the only one sick of Gloria's act. George Miller, our oldest neighbor, 20 years on the block, had been quietly collecting evidence too. At the next emergency meeting, when Gloria tried to parade my fishing pictures around like I was a criminal, George pulled out his own folder. "Maybe the community deserves to know about the missing money," he said, calm as anything. And that's when everything exploded. Neighbors started shouting, comparing notices, demanding real answers about the money. Gloria tried to bluff, waving her forged papers, but then Clearwater's rep walked in alongside a federal investigator thanks to the evidence we'd provided. They laid out the charges, forged government documents, embezzlement, discrimination. Gloria turned white as a ghost. Her live streaming sidekick quietly deleted his videos and apologized for taking part in her circus. In court, the judge didn't hesitate. He upheld my contract, forced Gloria to repay what she stole, and put her on probation for federal fraud, orange jumpsuit and all. The HOA was dissolved by a landslide vote. All those threatening signs came down, replaced by community guidelines everyone actually agreed on. Would you spend your inheritance to buy peace or just walk away? I bought the lake outright for $45,000 way under market because Clearwater would rather have a neighbor who pays bills than another Gloria. I posted signs, private property, no HOA access fishing welcome. Noah helped hammer them in, finally able to relax. The families who'd suffered under Gloria got their refunds, and now we run things with real rules, just fair, no more drama. The best part. On a quiet Sunday, Noah finally caught his first bass, the sun glinting off the water. Rachel smiling for the first time in months. All that trouble, all that pain flipped on its head by refusing to back down and shining a light where it hurt most. They tried to squeeze me for $600, and I ended up with their whole kingdom. Maybe that's the lesson sometimes when the rules are rigged. You don't just play the game, you flip the whole board. If you've ever faced someone like Gloria, I want to hear about it in the comments. Would you have fought back or walked away? Drop your stories below and let's talk about what justice really means in neighborhoods like ours. And hey, keep your lines tight, your water calm, and your neighbors honest. See you next time.